Ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to the Ed Bugs Show.
Are you ready?
Real talk, real people. This is the show where people just like you get to talk about the news and what's really going on.
Shout here.
Along with show producer Matt Moscona.
Biggest names in talk radio.
They tackle some of the hottest, most controversial topics that affect your life.
I don't agree with them all the time, but I appreciate the discussion.
Buckle up and get ready. Now here's your host, Ed Bugs.
Go on the bump and cue Ed.
Thanks, Matt Moscona, and welcome aboard the Ed Bugs Show. Real talk, real people, here on 1550 AM WPFC, the radio revolution. And welcome to those of you joining us live on the internet at edbugs.com and on the Urban America Television Network. Glad you joined us today. Matt, you doing well? I see you got, who are you wearing today? Syracuse?
I got Syracuse
The
on.
Qs,
The Qs.
right?
I wore this when they won the national championship in New Orleans.
So it's a good luck.
Well, I had a roommate freshman year of college, quick
Yeah.
story. He was from Syracuse.
Okay.
I was from Baton Rouge. I gave him an LSU shirt. He gave me this.
Oh, okay.
So when they were in the championship game in 2003, I went down to the Superdome, bought a ticket outside the game, and went in.
Good.
Cheer for Syracuse. They won.
All right. Well, I'll tell you who the verdict is still out on in terms of whether they are winning, and that's President Bush on this ports deal. And every time I get the feeling that surely he'll rethink this, he doesn't. In fact, he draws the line even further in the sand. The president making more comments about it today. And the news on this today, though, is what I want to share with you as well. So this hour, you'll hear from the president, but you'll also hear that there's a lot going on behind the scenes with this deal, which until now I think most of us have surmised or put together in our own minds because it doesn't make sense. Well, let me say it another way. There has to be more to it than this. There has to be more to it than this. At a time of war with an Arab and Muslim-based country, why the heck would we turn over the management of 6 ports to this company? Why would we do it? Unless there's something more to it, unless there's a lot more to it. And today it is starting to unfold that there is a lot more to it. I want to set the stage for you, and then we'll talk about the fact that there is more to this. I want to begin on the port debate today with some of the audio that we've gathered for you. I want to begin with a cut 01, Matt. This is Senator Patty Murray, a Democrat from Washington, who is, for her part, calling on an end to this deal.
We are asking for at this time is for the administration to come to Congress and explain to us what the deal is and understand ourselves what they are being, what they have approved, and that we're asking for that to be halted until we have been given the ability to be informed.
Now, it is not just Democrats calling for some changes, calling for some re-examination of this whole package, if you will. Matt, take me to 03 now, and I want you to hear J.D. Hayworth, a Republican from Arizona, a well-respected Republican, who says Americans it's simple. Americans do not want this deal.
No, I can't explain that. I think that the wisdom of the American people should be taken into account here. And what I've heard from constituents in various locations since being home this week is, J.D., you got to stop the deal.
Now, for those of you, Matt, as you move down one, for those of you who are feeling that this is merely a fear of Islam, and some of it is, listen to what the senator has to say about that. In this case, Senator J.B. Hayworth of Arizona.
And it is not, as I've seen reported in some quarters and whispered and suggested, some form of Islamophobia. That entire description would indicate some sort of irrational fear.
Well, maybe, J.D., but let me be clear with you where I stand on this issue, as I do on every topic we talk about. And I'll be real honest with you, and I've maintained this position all along. I don't like the deal because Islam's involved. I'm going to be real honest with you. Now, Islam brought this upon themselves. Between 9/11 and the chaos we've seen around the world in the past 20 years, they brought this on themselves. And listen, America, don't feel that you are politically incorrect if you state what's in your heart. I'm not the bad guy here. What was the phrase Michael Jackson used to use, Matt? I'm not the hater. What was his line? I'm
not a big Michael Jackson guy. I apologize.
Right,
Maybe you should ask one of the older gentlemen in the room. They might know. Oh, they might know.
Did you hear that?
What's wrong with that? So you're going to talk about being politically correct about this, but I can't say one of the older gentlemen because they might know.
He's making reference to our director, Tommy Davis, and our photographer, Joshua Lloyd here, just because they're over 60 years old.
That's on you. That's your behind.
Okay, Michael Jackson said something about I'm a lover, not a fighter.
I'm a lover, not a fighter?
Yeah,
I don't
that's
think
it.
that's Michael Jackson.
Yeah, okay, whatever. I thought it was Michael Jackson. Maybe I'm over the hill on this one. Here's my point. You're not a bad guy or a hater because you do not trust Islam. I don't. The moment I heard that this company was owned by the government of the United Arab Emirates, these 7 countries there that make up the United Arab Emirates, I asked the question, you got to be kidding me, right? You got to be putting me on, right? And too many of us are afraid to say that. Too many of us Americans feel, Ed, don't say the I word, Islam. Just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. Don't say anything. Why? Why not? Look, all Muslims are not terrorists, but all the terrorists were Muslims. Have you seen a outcry from Muslims here in America for the chaos over the cartoons? Have you seen an outcry of Muslims here in America over this ports deal? No, they've been real quiet on this one. And look, this company, and I've said this before on this subject, this company may be completely above board and not interested in terrorism. We don't know. Why risk it? There is more today. Now, Matt, take me to 05, cut 0505. This is where Arizona Representative J.D. Hayward talks about the United Arab Emirates, and I want everybody to hear this.
Prior to 9/11, the UAE recognized the Taliban government in Afghanistan. UAE financial institutions were less than helpful in terms of trying to root out financial abuses and financial links to organizations promoting terror. And there are real concerns. And the bottom line is this, John: when in doubt, cut it out.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Cut it out. No doubt. Wiping my hands. I want nothing to do with it. I'm in doubt. Look, forgive me, but my trust factor in Arab countries right now is not exactly very high. Hello? Between death to America, anytime the wind blows, I don't have a lot of trust in these people. And now I got my president saying, trust me? I don't think so. Hold on. We're just getting started on the Ed Bugs Show.
Often imitated. Hi, folks. Ed Bugs here. Never duplicated. Duplicated. Hi, folks. Ed Bugs here.
I ain't playing around.
You're listening to the always hot.
It is a hot one. Hot one. Hot one.
The always hot Ed Bugs Radio Show.
Thank you, Matt, and welcome back, everyone, to the Ed Bugs Show. Real talk, real people. Listen, I want to hear from you on this. Shoot me an email. You can send it to ed@edbugs.com. Again, that's ed@edbugs.com. Or give us a call in the 225 area code at 499-BUGS, 499-BUGS, 499-2847, or toll free from anywhere at 866-900-9732, 866-900-9732. The president today saying the ports deal is nothing to worry about. The question is fast becoming, what are the American people to believe? Now, let's look at this mosaic for a second. We have radical Islam clowning in the streets of the world about cartoons. We have right there in Iraq in the past 48 hours because one side blew up a mosque in a gold dome. We have the other side, I'm talking about the Sunnis and the Shiites. We have the other side. In 48 hours, they've killed more than 100 people. They've blown up more than 30 mosques. Because this side wants to blow up this side, and this side went back and retaliated, and this side retaliated. We got more than 30 of these frickin' buildings destroyed now. We've got over 100 people killed. Clerics across the land are trying to prevent the whole thing from blowing up in civil war again. Against that background, we have Death to America protests going on. We have Death to Denmark protests, Death to France protests. And now we got a country that is steeped in Arab Muslims, and they're going to take over the management of 6 major U.S. ports. Now, forgive me, I went to public schools, but this is a little difficult for me to swallow. This is very difficult for me to swallow. This is very difficult for a whole lot of Americans to swallow because it's just not fitting together. It simply is not fitting together. Listen, I want to go back now to more of the audio that we gathered from today. And here is the question, 0606, Matt. 0606. Here is the question that is asked by Representative J.D. Hayworth of Arizona, a Republican. Okay, so don't clap. Well, it's just Democrats trying to pound the president, boy. No, that's not what this is. This is both sides of the aisle scratching their heads asking, what the heck are you doing? That's what this is. And listen now as J.D. Hayworth asks the question that millions of Americans have been asking all week long.
Jimmy Carter says the deal is okay, and that should give every fair-minded person pause when former President Carter says go ahead with the deal.
What is that all about? Where did Jimmy Carter come? I thought he was out hammering homes for Habitat. I mean, I got no problem with homes for Habitat, but Jimmy, stick to the homes, homeboy. I mean, come on. Stick to the homes. Come on. So what does Hayworth feel the president needs to do? What does he feel the president needs to do? Take a listen.
And unless and until the administration really gets involved in a campaign of education and persuasion, which I dare say is still not foolproof, the American people continue to have questions that are legitimate questions.
And listen, wait, I want the full crux of that not to be missed. Mac, if you would, recue 07. Let's hear it again, please.
And unless and until the administration really gets involved in a campaign of education and persuasion, which I dare say is still not foolproof, the American people continue to have questions that are legitimate questions.
And so, if, as you drive home today, you're asking yourself, well, is it just me? No, it's not just you. It's not just you. And we want more questions, more answers than, just trust me, we've checked this thing out. I don't think so. I'm not buying it. I'm still not sold. And you know, here is the difficult scenario for me as a Republican. Here is the difficult position for me as a Bush backer. I can't get any traction on the damn thing. You know what I'm saying? Let me say that another way. I can't get a grip. I can't find my handle on this. I can't, you know what I'm saying? It's slipping through my hands. I want to be able to stand here and tell you unequivocally, guys, my boy's right on this one. We got to back him to the hilt. I'm having a real hard time doing it. Now, the president himself did come out with some comments today on the ports deal, as it's being known. I keep waiting for the Washington media to give this a name. You know, Ports Gate or United Arab Emirates Gate, or you know what I'm saying. It will be a gate of some sort. Shipping Gate or some fiasco name will come along. But the president spoke up today, and well, in cut 0808, I'll let the president put it in his own words.
The more people learn about the transaction that has been scrutinized and approved by my government, the more they'll be comforted that our ports will be secure.
Well, maybe. But something we have learned, as the president says, as we learn more, we'll become more comfortable. I don't know. We now know the Bush administration is secretly required a company in the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, to cooperate with future U.S. investigations before approving the takeover. In other words, going down the road, meaning months from now, years from now, this company has been secretly required to cooperate with us on future investigations. Okay. I still don't trust them. I don't. And I don't apologize for not trusting them. What, are you kidding me? After all the heck we've been through with these people since 2001 and before, let's not forget, 2001, September 11th, was when the Twin Towers were brought down. It was a few years before then, 93, that the attempt was made to bring down the towers. The unsuccessful attempt was made, also by Muslim extremists. So this is nothing new. My distrust is nothing new. This is well-earned distrust. And you know, we talked about this the other day when we talked about this same story. We have to be right, America, 100% of the time when it comes to terrorism. We have to be right 100% of the time. They only have to be right once. They only have to get it right once. There was a touching email yesterday from a woman who is joining us from halfway across the country. She listens on the internet. And she said yesterday in her email that what bothers her about this, and I'm paraphrasing from her email yesterday, and I read it on the air. She says what bothers her is we know, our government knows and admits we only check 5% of the containers that come into America. And you know what I mean by containers. Those are they look like the back of an 18-wheel truck, and they are brought in by the thousands every day on ships to ports. They're called container ships. We are only able to check about 5% of these containers. There are far too many. There's no way we could check them 100% of them. So if there are biological, if there are nuclear, if there are other deadly weapons inside, in many instances, they could well get through. So now, and that's as we exist today. Now, let's extrapolate to the point of having those 6 major ports, New York, New Jersey, Baltimore, Miami, New Orleans. Let's extrapolate to the point of having the management of those ports conducted by perhaps a sympathetic country. And then what business are we in? Then how easy could it become? If we're only checking 5% now, how easy could it become to get something in here? I don't like the odds. I don't like the odds, and I want to go back, I want to allude back to the comments of Representative J.D. Hayworth a moment ago. Why take the chance? cut out all risk. When we come back, I'll have more from the president's comments on this today, and I'll read some of your emails. My address, again, is ed@edbugs.com. Again, that's ed@edbugs.com, or give me a call at 499-BUGS, 499-2847. We'll be back.
You're listening to the always hot.
It's showtime, baby.
It's in your face talk radio.
We're dealing with sick people here.
You're listening to the Ed Bugs Radio Show.
Okay. Thank you. Heads up. Welcome back, everyone, to the Ed Bugs Show. Real talk, real people. We are giving you this hour the absolute latest on the comments from the White House and comments from Congress. And let's talk a little formatics for just a second, since the president has made it clear that if the Congress prepares legislation to block this deal, this ports deal, the president has made it clear that he will veto that. But let us not forget, Congress can override a presidential veto. Let's be clear on this. The president has set out on a big PR campaign today to try to win more support here, and I am one of those who is not kicking George out with the bathwater. I'm still in his corner, but on this one, I think we're dead wrong, and I would have loved to have had the opportunity to say, Mr. President, let's rethink this before we roll it out, but it turns out that that's not exactly what happened. Let me explain what I mean by this. Over the course of the past several days, we have learned a couple of things, and I'm going to tell you what we've learned in the past couple of days, and then I'll tell you the setup on this that's a little confusing to me in terms of when the president knew about this deal. First, we've learned the administration did not require Dubai Ports, that's the name of the company, to keep copies of business records on U.S. soil. This way they could be subject to American courts. We didn't require that. Their business records they can keep back in Dubai, in the United Arab Emirates. Number two, this deal also did not require the company to designate an American citizen to go along with the U.S. government requests. So in essence, if we needed to see their records, the records, one, are not kept on U.S. soil, and two, we don't get to send an American over to say, show me, I will take copies of these back with us. That's not in the deal. And typically, usually, this is part of the deal on U.S. approvals of foreign sales in other industries. So what I am telling you is not some obscure or some PFA or plucked from the air idea. This is typically what happens when we talk about business with other countries and we talk about sales in other industries. That didn't happen in this deal. Now, I told you after I would tell you about the two new points, I would share with you the new information that's coming forward about when the president actually knew what the heck was going on. The White House is now acknowledging that President Bush was unaware of the pending sale until the deal had already been approved by his administration. Wait, let me get this straight. I understand and accept the fact that the president cannot be involved in every nilly-willy decision. This is not a nilly-willy decision, number one. Number two, you're telling me somebody else put this deal together and the president signed off on it? Now, let's understand something. There are hundreds of deals, okay, that the administration has to sign off on. Let's all be aware of this. It's not as if the president walks in every morning, at 10 o'clock. And, hey, guys, good morning. Any deals today? Nope, not today, Mr. President. That's not the case, okay? Let's not be naive. There are hundreds, thousands of deals that ultimately the White House or the administration must yay or nay on. that the president at some point will see. So many of these have to be nurtured, have to be put together, have to be assembled away from the president. He doesn't have time for all that. But this is not one of those deals, if you ask me. And I think the White House knows this now by the firestorm that has developed as a result of it. But here's my point. Some idiot in the administration should have blew the whistle a long time ago. Someone was supposed to go down the hall and, I really need to see the president. I know I need to see him. He needs to know about this. You should. I wouldn't waste it. Look, I need to see the. Open the damn. Oh, good, Mr. President. Listen, this is pertaining to a company based in the United Arab Emirates. Before we put this together and bring it to you, okay, you need to know what's involved here, and you need to know the potential political flap as a result of it. And from what the White House is now telling us, that didn't happen. Now, whether you believe that or not remains to be seen, but the White House, the administration is telling us that's not how it went down. Well, it should have. It darn should have. The president is now brushing aside objections by leaders of the Senate and the House, and he's pledging, as I said a moment ago, the president is pledging to veto any bill Congress might approve to block this agreement. We have a showdown coming. But there is an out. There is always an out. You see, earlier we talked about the possibility, how real might it be for the president to say, you know what, I've looked at this thing again, and boys, I've made a mistake. I'm pulling back on this one. That won't happen. Can't do it now. You got face, you got ego, you got pride. You know, you can't do it now. But there is another out. There is another out. There is another way to release the pressure. And I'm telling you, right now, the pressure is immense. When you saw that the Senate Majority Leader, Bill Frist, stepped aside from the president, turned around and said, Hoss, you're on your own on this one. I cannot go with you on this one. You're on your own. When you saw that happen, that should have been signal one. It's getting hot. That should have been signal one. The president needs some way out of this. Well, I'm telling you, there is a way out. When we come back, I want to share this with you. As remote as it may be, it is a very real possibility because a couple of things are happening. Let us not forget, this is a congressional election year. Let us not forget, the presidential elections are only 2 years away. They don't need this. The Republican Party does not, the president does not need this right now. And we'll talk about the one out they may have in a moment. You're listening to The Ed Buggs Show. Real talk, real people. We'll be back.
It's brutal.
This is what talk radio is supposed to be all about.
Follow this.
Are you ready?
Yeah. Follow this.
Your radio too.
The Ed Buggs.
Follow this procedure.
You are listening to the Ed Buggs Radio Show.
Thank you, Matthew, George. Welcome back, everyone, to the Ed Buggs Show. Real talk, real people. Good to have you here.
That's not fair. You can't throw out the middle name.
Thank you, Matt Moscona.
Thank you.
All right, to the Ed Buggs Show. Real talk, real people. We're talking about the ports deal and what wiggle room might the president have on this. And the reason he needs wiggle room, the reason he needs an out is because this has stirred the pot. I mean, this has hit Americans, millions of Americans, where we don't like to get hit. I mean, this is deep down in our guts. There is a feeling that Arab countries and Muslims therein cannot be trusted. And that's what's at the core of this. A moment ago, I told you that the president needed to let the pressure off of this immediately. I told you a moment ago the Republican Party doesn't need this. I reminded you there are congressional elections coming up later this year. I reminded you there are presidential elections a mere 2 years away. And then I said to you just before the break, I think I know the out that may well serve the president well. Let me tell you what I feel that out is. This company, Dubai Ports, holds all the coins. See, think about it. The president can't move. He cannot move. He can't back up. He can't back up. He has played his cards. The Dubai Ports Company holds the key for the president. Whether they will exercise this or not, that I'm about to explain to you, remains to be seen. All they have to do is say, you know, we want to rethink how this is set up for optimum security for America, and we want to back off for a while. That is the only out I see for the president right now. And let me tell you why I say that. Today, even as we speak, Condoleezza Rice is in Saudi Arabia, the Secretary of State. She is in Saudi Arabia today. Look, don't kid yourself. This is a full court press. As far as the administration is concerned, we have got to show our Arab allies, I think that's a contradiction of terms, but we've got to show our Arab allies that we will work with you and that we trust you and that we are not prejudiced, that just because you're Muslim and Arab doesn't mean you're a bad person. Condi is in Saudi Arabia right now. And listen to what she's saying. She's saying in Saudi that the agreement was thoroughly vetted. Quote, we have to maintain a principle that it doesn't matter where in the world one of these purchases is coming from. She described the United Arab Emirates as, and I quote, a good partner in the war on terrorism. Well, clearly that is the administration's posture. But average Joe in America, like me, no. I don't trust them. There is a fundamental lack of trust in anything Arab, in anything Muslim right now in America. There is. Look, not that that's good, not that that's bad, but it is. What was that phrase, Matt, at that radio station that fired us? What was that phrase they had up in their sales department?
Oh, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
That worked real well.
Yeah, that went over real well with the salespeople there. It is what it is. We don't trust them. Every night on the evening news, we are inundated with visuals of death to America, death to America, death to America over some cartoons. Do you think average Joe sitting down in America watching that says, well, that's just in Iraq, and that's not really the folks in Iran. Do you think average Joe in America watching that says, that's going on in Pakistan, but that's not over in the United Arab Emirates? No! We lump them all together. It may be wrong, but I'm telling you, we lump them all together. This is not going to sell. It's not going to happen, Mr. President. I love you, George. I got your back. But you got a dead fish on your hands, partner. I suggest you wrap this sucker in paper, put it in plastic, and put it in a garbage can, and take it out to the curb for the garbage man as quickly as possible. Otherwise, the funk is going to get on you. I love you, George, but you got a dead dog, man. You got a dead fish. This sucker's dead. I'm telling you. And by him pushing it anyway, it's not helping him. I got callers waiting. HW, don't move. You're first, next on the Ed Bug Show. Real talk, real people.
The kind of talk radio your mama warned you about. The Ed Bugs Radio Show is on the air.
The going home segment of this hour in television. Don't worry, for those of you in radio, we'll be back with more in next hour. Just keep it locked right here on 1550 AM WPFC. Let me get to a couple of emails here as we talk about this port deal that I want to embrace. I just don't see how. Before I go to the emails, to the phones we go. HW at 499-BUGS. Thank you for your patience, my friend. You're on the air.
Mr. Bugs, when you're breaking bread with your wife tonight eating supper, ask her this question.
Okay.
How come this AEO or whatever it is didn't want to buy Sony Pictures or Paramount, or it didn't want to buy Disney World, or it didn't want to buy Apple Computers? How come they want to buy a port? Why didn't they want to buy something else? Isn't that just something? Don't you scratch yourself and say,
Yes.
Don't that want to make you do that? Why ports and nothing else in the United States that they could spend $7 billion? I could think of a lot of things I could spend $7 billion on, make money too, other than ports. Why these 6 ports necessarily?
HW, great question. Boy, does that put it all in perspective or what? Huh? Does that put it all in perspective or what? Now, quickly, a couple of emails sent in to Ed at edbugs.com. The first one here from Sammy, who writes, Ed, I understand that Bush wants to continue relations in that part of the world, but now we know the United Arab Emirates may have had ties with Osama bin Laden. Bin frickin' Laden? What are we doing? Bush has a lot of explaining to do. Sammy, thanks for your email from Sammy. Let's go to Jeremy, who writes, Ed, I just can't understand... I just can't believe that you are turning on Bush so quickly. The one thing I like so much about Bush is when he says something, he means it, right or wrong. He does what he says. I guess my faith in Bush is stronger than yours. If the president says there is no threat from this group, I believe him. Besides, they are not in control of security. Jeremy making reference to the fact that it is the management of these ports, not the security they're in. And finally, Casey writes, Ed, I don't trust the government on a lot of issues. I feel they owe it to the American people to explain what they are doing and why. That being said, in the war on terror, I also understand that there is certain information that must be kept secret for national security purposes. You mentioned that we have to be right 100% of the time. Well, since 9/11, we have been. I credit the Bush administration's hard-nosed attitude to that, so I do trust GW on terrorism. If he says they checked it out and it's safe, I'm with him. I agree with you, Ed, that it's hard to do, but in this case, I believe him. All right, Casey, let's hope you're right. Thank you, my friend, and thanks to... Wait. One other one here from Bob, who writes, Hey, Ed, yesterday I called you and told you I was sitting on the fence as it relates to this port security issue. Today, I learned something new about the United Arab Emirates. When Bill Clinton was president, he sold the UAE 60 F-16 fighter jets. Now, Ed, if they were good enough then to buy our top-of-the-line jets, what about them has changed, except for 9/11? The more I sit back and listen, the more I know there are politics involved. Bob, thank you, my friend. I appreciate your email sent in to Ed at edbugs.com. To the phones, let's go. I got a minute left. Matt, where am I going? Patrick joining us now. Hello, Patrick. You're on the air.
How you doing, Ed?
Fine. Glad you called. What do you make of this?
I wasn't going to call in today, but when I heard Jeremy's email, I just got my dander up so much. I cannot believe that on an issue of national security, where it's admitted that there has been no willingness to take a 45-day examination of this matter,
yes,
and where Bush is just going to dig in his feet on it, and his own people are against him on it, that we've got our people actually of the opinion that it's somehow unpatriotic and un-Republican to even question Bush.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate you. The speed of this questions me as well, Patrick. Thank you all for being with us this hour. If you're in radio, stay put. We'll be right